And good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. How does the time fly? It feels like 24 hours ago I was saying the same thing to you. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We're going to take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Funky kind of mix today, partly cloudy, could be a shower. Highs in the mid 70s. It's like late spring wants to be late spring, but we'll see. We head straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta, a first check of the Garden State forecast for the day. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning to you, Ken. Yeah, the weather is looking much brighter today. We've got beautiful sunny skies across New Jersey, and with that, a rapid warm up on the way. Had a few showers that rolled through the eastern half of the state a short while ago, just before sunrise. That's why the ground is wet this morning. But with the clear sky, it'll look very pleasant. And we've also dried out a bit as the dew points, or the measure of moisture in the air, the temperature where they are saturated nice and low currently. With the temperatures that will feel like they're a little bit cooler this morning, thanks to a little bit of a gusty breeze from the west. Winds aren't that strong. They do get up to about 10, 15 miles per hour today, maybe up to 20 at the coast. But it's that westerly breeze that keeps our skies clear through most of this afternoon before bringing back a round of clouds later tomorrow. So the clouds and radar showing last night, we had a nice clear sky shortly before midnight. Then the clouds rolled back in. And here are those showers that came in just around 4 or 5 a.m., clearing early this morning, and now in its wake we're left with a nice dry start to the day, and that will help our temperatures climb back into the 70s under mostly sunny skies. It really will be excuse me, a beautiful afternoon with temperatures that will feel, look at that, up to 77 in Hackensack by the end of this afternoon, 71 down toward Medford. Later on this evening after dinner, there could be a few sprinkles up in northern New Jersey as some energy swings on through, but I wouldn't expect much from it. In fact, we turn sunny again tomorrow morning, and it's a little bit milder, but this time there's a little more humidity for tomorrow. That's why with the afternoon sun, we could see another round of these pop-up storms, very similar to what happened last night with those storms forming where the sun hit the ground, helping to allow that convection, and they moved northward. Except tomorrow's storms come from the north and west. So you see them entering the picture here in Morris County, working through Bergen and Essex County, and even down toward Ocean and Monmouth County. Friday is a different story. Friday is a soaking wet day, starting our day with some thunderstorms early in the morning before the morning rush, and lasting through the evening rush with those on and off showers throughout the day. So very wet weather to wrap up the work week. I think Saturday still has some early morning clouds, but we'll see a quick clearing throughout the afternoon, and with it, cooler weather as temperatures hold in the 50s to start off our weekend, and then we head into Sunday with some milder weather for Mother's Day, so some good news there for mom. The next few days featuring dry weather today, dry weather tomorrow, maybe a late day chance of a shower. It's Friday, that's pretty soaking wet, and then we dry things out for Saturday, just in time for a beautiful start to the weekend. We'll tell you all about that coming up with another check of your weekend weather. And of course, the 7-day. Ken, it's coming up in a few minutes.
Of course, the 7-day. Thank you, Michele. It is 7:03 right now, 54 degrees, and we do have a lot of traffic. Pam, our director, said, Ken, what is the deal with the traffic? And knowing that I know all things about traffic, I said, I don't really know. But let's take a look right now. We do have a disabled vehicle on the New Jersey Turnpike. This is the Hudson County extension. So, pardon me, toward the northeastern part of the state. This is westbound exiting interchange 14, I-78 in Newark. Guess what's there? Newark Airport. So that's a problem there with a disabled vehicle causing problems. We have a vehicle fire, I-80 express lanes westbound west of exit 63, Route 17 north in Saddlebrook Township. 2 left lanes of the 4 lanes are closed. That is a problem. We have a crash on the New Jersey Turnpike, local lane southbound in the vicinity of exit 72 northbound, which is 1 and 9, and that is in Leonia. 1 right lane is blocked. And delays on the Turnpike Outer Roadway northbound, north of interchange 14, which is 1 and 9 to Southern Mixing Bowl in Newark. All lanes are open, but there's about a 1 to 1.5 mile delay. Take a look right now at the 8095 approach to the upper and lower levels of the GWB. Okay, the one on the right, which is the clearer shot, that's the upper level. And look at the lower level. Lower level stopped. Upper level is slow. So you're talking about a 50-minute delay right there to get into Manhattan. Lincoln is not that much better. It's about a 30-minute delay. Holland's about 25 right now. And let's take a look at I-80 east and westbound at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton, New Jersey. Just another mess. Another day, another mess. We're about a week away from what, and then they, yeah, look at that. And it's over modulated too. That's what we got. Trust me, there is exit 34 is right there. It's just the The iris of the lens must be right in the sun. It's like that right there. That right there is right in the iris of the lens. Anyway, trust me that it's supposed to be another week before we get 1 to 2 westbound lanes open and 2 to 3 weeks to get 1 to 2 eastbound lanes open. The construction crews have been there around the clock trying to make that happen. It is 7:05 right now, 55 degrees on your Wednesday. Please forgive my throat. This is the throes of COVID. And for those who are saying, why did you come to work? We're all in separate studios. So I am in my home in a studio. Nobody's getting sick. It's just in the confines of this room. Trust me. We have a lot of news going on today. New Jersey's Motor Vehicle Commission, the MVC, has come up with another way for drivers to get their real ID driver's license. That is today. It'll be needed for domestic air travel beginning right now. So-called Real ID Tuesdays will make an additional 5,200 appointments available every single 2 weeks, starting May 20th. Clearly not in time for the kickoff, but at least it may speed up the process for those looking to fly this summer. Drivers can begin scheduling appointments for those spots right now. New Jersey, by the way, had the lowest compliance level of Real ID conversion in the nation, with 17% possessing Real ID. That is really, really low. Remember, this became a problem because of states that did not make a difference in their driver's licenses between people who were citizens and people who were not citizens. So as a result, they gave non-citizens driver's licenses in Democrat-controlled states, and there was no way of telling if a driver's license indicated whether you're a citizen or not. That's the problem, and that's why we now have the issue of Real ID. So bottom line is, if you don't have to get to the airport or enter a federal building and you just want to drive your car, your regular old driver's license is fine. If, however, you need to use your driver's license to get to the airport and get on a plane, you need Real ID. So New Jersey's liberal lawmakers, again, they wanted illegal aliens to have driver's licenses, which then made it impossible for us to use our driver's licenses to prove our citizenship. So now you have to take the time and make an appointment, and you have to spend upwards of $80 to get a new license so that we don't inconvenience or be impolite to illegal migrants who are here illegally. Thank you, Democrats. It is 7:07. The New Jersey Transit Engineers Union may strike as early as May 16th. We're talking about NJ Transit people. That is just 9 days away. The problem, it's been years since they've seen a raise, and the head of NJ Transit says they are simply asking way more than could ever be paid out with the current economy. The NJ Transit Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen has remained at odds with the railroad over the level of wage hikes. Engineers are demanding an average salary. Listen to this. These are engineers who, by the way, do not have to graduate college. They do not even, all they have to do is have a high school equivalency diploma, which is fine, but they're not required to go to some expensive college. They don't have to have any kind of like bus driving experience, but they prefer it, but it's not required. They want an average salary of $190,000 a year. Yep, NJ Transit engineers, that's what they want. Now, NJ Transit, meanwhile, is looking at giving them still a more moderate $172,000. Not that that's something to sneeze at. And the $172,000 would still be a $25,000 average pay hike per person, but the union says not enough. So you can expect a ticket price hike either way, whether it's $172,000 salary or $190,000. Expect to pay that much more when all is said and done. Could be as much as 20% more for your ticket on NJ Transit. Then they wonder when everybody wants to drive their car into Manhattan and you have congestion pricing. You can't win. It's 7:08 right now. The Archdiocese of Newark's Mercy House distributed Mother's Day gifts to nearly 100 struggling moms at its Newark location. Oh, sorry about that. I'm thinking there's a side. Forgive me, Pam, my fault. The gifts, including purses, sun hats, and jewelry, were donated by the good people at St. Michael's Parish in Cranford and a private donor. So these are the moms. They got to come and select stuff for Mother's Day. Well deserved. The Felician Sisters of Lodi assembled all those bags. God bless them. 80 moms received gifts in Jersey City. And today, over 100 more will get them in Elizabeth, and that's at 11 a.m. The initiative honors the sacrifices of these mothers, reflecting the late Pope Francis's call to support those in need. 7:09, and speaking of Pope Francis, the countdown to the start of the papal conclave is on right now. 133 voting age cardinals will be locked in the Sistine Chapel. The word conclave means with a key. Clavus in Latin means key. Con is from the word cum, it means with. So with the key, that means they get locked in that room you're looking at right there. And that'll happen actually right about now. They already celebrated Mass this morning in order to ask the Holy Spirit to guide them, but they're now locked in the Sistine Chapel. First vote is going to be at 9 o'clock our time. So it's about 3 o'clock their time in Rome. And this is all following the death of Pope Francis on April 21st. Now, 89 of those cardinals altogether must select the same name in order for white smoke to be sent up the chimney. The way they make white smoke come up, they mix wet straw with the discarded ballots. Once you put the wet straw in, it causes the smoke to be white. That indicates the next pope has been chosen. If there are fewer than 89 votes in any one round, then it's going to be black smoke. They just take the ballots and burn them. Black smoke goes up the chimney. So up to 4 votes could be held each day until a new Bishop of Rome, that's what the Pope is, the Bishop of Rome, is selected. And we will cut live. You can see that's a live shot right there. We'll cut live to Vatican video if a new Pope is chosen during one of our broadcasts. The Cardinals will start gathering those ballots for the first round of voting, like within the next hour and a half, 2 hours, our time. So it's kind of exciting. The moment is happening right now. It may be a few days. Everyone's kind of guessing it'll be tomorrow or Friday, but it's going to happen soon, I think. 7:11 is our time. Rwanda is now in talks with the Trump administration to accept migrants deported by the U.S. And of course, back in February, El Salvador offered to take in criminals as well, including those with U.S. citizenship who commit heinous crimes here. Not that we would do that, but that was an offer made by El Salvador, and they would be housed in El Salvador's mega jail. Now, President Trump has ordered his staff to work on reopening Alcatraz off the coast of San Francisco. That rock in the middle of the water, surrounded by cold, rough currents and sharks, is basically impossible to escape from. As the island is federal property, California's liberals have no say in the matter. They can't say, no, we're not going to do this. It is likely, however, that the existing facility would have to be entirely torn down and replaced by a new structure before anyone could be housed there. By the way, the word Alcatraz in Spanish is pelican. So it's Pelican Island out there in the middle of the bay in San Francisco. It is 7:12. President Trump signed an executive order Monday that ends federal funding of dangerous gain-of-function research. You know, the gain-of-function that probably caused the COVID I have right now? Gain-of-function in foreign countries like China, where the COVID-19 pandemic is believed to have originated. The order targets the funding of gain-of-function research conducted in countries of concern, as they're called, and that includes Iran and other nations that do not have high oversight standards for biological research, according to a White House fact sheet. The directive is said to prevent the potential outbreak of another pandemic. Gain-of-function research is defined as the modification of existing viruses in order to make them more infectious to study them in a lab, or for more nefarious purposes like biological warfare. The COVID outbreak resulted in the deaths of 20 million lives around the world and cost the world some $25 trillion. Think about the damage it's done. Kids who lost years of education, businesses that went under, grandparents who died all alone, all because of irresponsibility in the Chinese Wuhan lab. Thank you very much. And that was probably financed, based on the research we have now, by our own Anthony Fauci. That is based on the gain-of-function research that was financed by our own government. 7:13, the Trump administration announced they would restart collections on defaulted college loans for 5 years because of COVID and Joe Biden trying to win over votes. People who owed thousands upon thousands in college loans were told there would be a hiatus. They could just wait to repay. Well, all too many of these college loans, were not repaid. People did not understand the word hiatus, nor did they use the Google. So now that the Trump White House says it's time to start repaying those loans that you've waited for 5 years to repay and you signed a contract for, the pushback is amazing. People are saying it's cruel and unusual punishment. How dare you tell me I have to repay a loan I signed a contract to repay? If you don't repay your loans, the Department of Education will garnish your wages. So guess what? You go to work, you work a 40-hour week, your paycheck will be zero, and all that money will go to the federal government. If you feel you can't make an honest effort to repay your loans, contact the lending institution, which is through the federal government, the Department of Education, and pardon me, you can arrange a payment plan with them. 7:14, New Jersey is among the 17 liberal states joining New York's Attorney General Letitia James in suing the federal government over President Trump's pause on permits for new offshore wind power projects. James alleges the move jeopardizes thousands of jobs, and the allegation is that Trump's order exceeds his executive authority and threatens the climate. In reality, wind power projects are being reduced in size or eliminated around the world for killing millions of birds and marine animals every year, and for the excessive maintenance costs. Maintenance, by the way, which requires the use of, guess what? Hundreds of gallons of fossil fuels. Yep, they need oil to lubricate those giant windmills. Those are fossil fuels. It should be noted that Puerto Rico had been part of the lawsuit but decided to withdraw. Opponents in New Jersey and Long Island pointed out that the hundreds of proposed windmills would have been a blight visible from the treasured shoreline. President Trump strongly backs clean, sustainable natural gas, smaller regional nuclear facilities, and new clean burning coal facilities with carbon air scrubbers. And a jury in the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs is expected to be in place sometime today. Jury selection began on Monday in Manhattan as the one-time mogul faces federal sex crime charges in a case expected to last for months. A number of potential jurors were brought into a courtroom one by one and questioned by the judge, prosecution, and defense to determine whether they're qualified to serve on Combs' jury. The 55-year-old Combs experienced a sharp fall from grace after facing a number of lawsuits and criminal charges accusing him of rape and sexual assault. Diddy was offered a plea deal last week, but he turned it down. Now, if he's convicted, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. It is 55 degrees now at 7:16. When we come back, today's the day we all have to have a so-called real ID, as I talked about, to board a plane or enter a federal building. So what does that have to do with skiing? We'll explain. It'll be partly cloudy today, maybe a shower, highs in the mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with your full Garden State forecast, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. 55 degrees, 717. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Wednesday. I'm Ken Rosato at 717, taking your calls at 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy today, could be a shower. Highs in the mid-70s. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a springtime Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. There we go. Good morning, Ken. Sorry, a little bit of a delay this morning. Apparently my camera wants the day off. You know, it's Wednesday, and starting thinking about the sunshine today. Got to get out and get some vitamin D because, yeah, it's going to be a beautiful afternoon. Lots of sunshine expected, as opposed to all of the gray, all of the clouds, all of the wet weather we've seen. A nice return to 74 degrees and sunny over in Toms River. Now, at times today, especially this afternoon, there could be a few more clouds than sun, but a whole lot more clear sky than we've seen over the last few days, even 76 toward Fort Dix. The further north you head in New Jersey today, the better chance you'll see a little bit of haze and cloud cover, maybe a patchy area of fog, and slightly cooler weather. But beyond that, it'll look very pleasant throughout the afternoon and also across our skies. Now, with the pollen levels rising a little bit, the tree pollen is back to the moderate level. Molds are a little higher as well, thanks to all of the wet weather that's been around, but grasses and weeds remain low as we start to enter that season. I think we'll see those grass numbers kick up in the next few days. As far as the rainfall that's forecast for the rest of the week, everything else in terms of like steady, heavy rainfall, that should fall on Friday. So we're pretty much dry today. Tomorrow might have a late afternoon shower or sprinkle, but it's really Friday morning we're back to some very wet weather. Our forecast brings back a higher level of UV with temperatures that will feel very pleasant across New Jersey, thanks to all of the clear sky. And there's the last remaining bit of that parent system that was sitting just here, a couple hundred miles off to the west in Ohio. Look how far it's moved in just 24 hours. Typically, this would be out over the North Atlantic. But the weather systems are moving a little bit slowly this week, and so that's why we've been plagued with the same weather days on end. Now, the good news about that is that we're kind of stuck in between our rainy system. So we get 2 full days of sunshine, and day one begins today with temperatures that will climb into the 70s, a few passing clouds this evening, cools us back into the 50s. Tomorrow, nice and clear to start, but by the end of the day, after 3, 4 o'clock, that's our best chance of seeing some scattered thunderstorms across New Jersey. Will they be severe? It's unlikely. It's Friday morning that has a better chance of seeing some stronger storms, especially with the intensity and how widespread they'll be going into early Friday morning, and again Friday midday, and again Friday evening, right through the evening rush. So a lot of water coming at us for the end of the work week. When we get into Saturday morning, I think we start to clear out. Clouds will clear by the end of the day, so we'll start a bit gray early on with temperatures holding in the 50s and 60s, and then eventually see some sun by the afternoon. But the full clearing, that'll happen on Sunday, and that'll look very nice to wrap up the day. Just some very high, thin cloud cover at first. This kind of exaggerates the cloud cover, and then we'll tap into some more sun as well for Monday and Tuesday. I think that by Wednesday of next week, that's our best chance of seeing some wet weather as another system moves on by and puts some wet weather in our forecast. But beyond that, looking pretty dry for this weekend. So great weather on Saturday with a mix of clouds and sun, 70 degrees, warming it up even more to Sunday, 76 for Mother's Day. Looking very pleasant this upcoming weekend. Very excited about that. So feel free to make those outdoor plans because weather looks great by this weekend.
Yeah. We like outdoor plans for mom,
Yeah,
especially. Thank you very much, sir.
you
All right. I
bet.
hope you're doing nice stuff for your wife who is a mommy now. That's awesome. Is this her first Mother's Day, right?
It's her first Mother's Day. Yeah, still working on to make it just right. So,
It's her
yeah.
first that she knows of. Wink, wink. See, only a gay man would have that confusion. I'm sorry, that's me. All all right, thank you very much, Mike. It's
You bet.
55 degrees. I better stop while I'm behind. 55 degrees at 7:22. And in terms of traffic right now, we have a vehicle fire on I-80 express lanes westbound west of exit 63 by Route 17 north in Saddlebrook Township. All lanes are open, but that's causing a lot of rubbernecking through there. Take a look at this. This is the eastern spur of the New Jersey Turnpike. Not moving too fast. This is by interchange 15E. 15E takes you to 1 and 9 for Newark and Jersey City, depending on which direction you're heading. And you can see it is an absolute mess there, bumper to bumper as you make your way off of that. We also have a crash on the Turnpike Hudson County extension, westbound exiting interchange 14, I-78 in Newark. 2 toll lanes are blocked. A crash on the Turnpike I-95 local lane southbound near exit 72, which is Route 46 Leonia. 1 right lane blocked. And we have a very slow go making your way into the GWB right now. The upper and lower level approaches, the upper level on the right, lower level on the left, moving very slowly. That's about a 45 to 50-minute cross time into Manhattan right now. We have the ongoing issues. I'm wondering if we have a camera shot right now. We'll try on I-80 east and west at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton. I'm just curious to see if there is a shot before. Oh, yes, we have a shot. That looks like yeah, we do have a shot. We were having issues before with that, but you can see that's the approach as you're getting, actually, as you are detoured off. You can't get onto I-80 through there because they're doing the ongoing road work, which westbound will open up hopefully 1 to 2 lanes in the next week, eastbound about 3 to 4 weeks. It is 7:23 and the federal real ID deadline begins today, meaning you need to have a driver's license or state ID that has a little gold star in the upper right corner verifying that you're a U.S. citizen or legal resident, or that ID cannot be used to board a plane or enter a federal building. Big Snow American Dream in East Rutherford is celebrating New Jersey residents who have somehow either been the early birds and gotten the worm and gotten their real ID or their real ID appointments at the MDC. The indoor ski resort is offering half off lift tickets for 1 day only to those who have a real ID in their possession or proof that they have a scheduled appointment at the MDC. A very cool reward for compliance amidst New Jersey's very low real ID numbers. New Jersey has the lowest compliance of any state in the country. We are joined now by Amiana Taransky. We've had on before. She's always fun to have on. Big Snow's resort marketing manager. Amiana, good to have you on.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
You
And
bet.
yeah.
Here's the funny thing. I live half the year in Florida, and Florida's always had real ID. They didn't have the option between non-real ID and real ID, which I don't know, makes sense to me. So it's just I find it ironic that having a driver's license from the Sunshine State would get me half off to go skiing with you.
Oh yeah, so even though New Jersey's numbers are surprisingly low, I know other states have had it, so you don't need a New Jersey real ID. It can be any real ID from any state. And kind of everything that's been going on in New Jersey right now between the sinkholes on 80 or travel nightmares at the airport, and now the added pressure of all of this real ID stuff in New Jersey, at least, we felt like everybody could use a little bit of a break. And with the
Brilliant.
numbers so low, we wanted to do something small just to celebrate those who were actually able to make it happen. So we're offering, like you said, 50% off lift tickets at Big Snow for anybody who has a real ID holder or has an appointment.
That's so cool. So, I mean, you could go online right now. I think we mentioned yesterday and this morning that they're now offering, that being the state MDC, they're offering thousands of extra Real ID appointments every other Tuesday, starting May 20th. You could go online right now and make that appointment. So it's strictly for people who need a Real ID. They can go on the state MDC website. Go check it. You might have to go far. You might have to go to an MDC that's 30 miles away. It may not be the one down the block, but find that appointment, get it done. Because then once you get your real ID, by the way, everybody, you could renew it by mail. But the first time for a real ID, you have to be in person. Make sure I'm sorry to take, I won't take your time
No,
away, I
you're
promise.
good.
You need to have your birth certificate and social security card and a couple of utility bills with you. Make sure. Don't just show up and say, I'm here, I want it. You got to have that with you. Amiana, can you walk us through what visitors can expect at Big Snow? Because it's such a cool place, and both in
Oh
terms
yeah.
of deal and the skiing experience.
Yeah, so I mean, what you can expect at Big Snow is winter every single day. It does not matter if it's 80 degrees outside, if it's raining, sunny, snowing. It's always the perfect conditions at Big Snow. We are always at 28 degrees. You are never going to get that icy snow like you might get at some other mountains. And now that the ski season is ending for almost every mountain on the East Coast, you can still come ride at Big Snow and you can learn for your first time, or if you have your own equipment, you can bring it. And, if you have your Real ID or Real ID appointment, we are giving you 50% off lift tickets for today only. And all you have to do is go to our website and we have a little chat center. You can message our chat center. They're going to verify that you have your either your Real ID or your appointment, and they will offer you this discount. And I think it's just a great way to kind of get rid of all these added stressors of life because just when you're on the snow, all of that just melts away. Skiing and
Oh,
snowboarding is something that you just have to be present for in the moment to do. And being able to do it year round is really just such a gift for most of us, at least me. I love to snowboard, so being able to do this whenever I want, even in the summer, is just such a beautiful thing. So we want to give back a little bit and just celebrate those who were able to make a real ID happen in the chaos of everything going on in New Jersey and the world, and just reward them with something little.
and because Amiana, the snow you produce there at Big Snow is always perfect. And because, as you mentioned, you keep it at a year-round 28 degrees, snow doesn't melt and refreeze. So you don't get that hard, rocky, flaky snow. It's
Oh
powder.
no.
It's perfect for skiing. I'm not a skier myself, but I know from friends who ski all the time, they've been to Big Snow and they talk about how flawless your snow is.
Oh yeah, it's always perfect conditions, and that's something we really prioritize at Big Snow is making sure the snow is always just right. So if you're a beginner and it's your first time learning, you're not dealing with some of the problems that you might see on a regular mountain, such as ice or that hard pack or no snow at all, as we experience on the East Coast quite a bit lately. So being able to learn on just like perfect conditions, or if you're a regular rider, being able to really enjoy perfect snow whenever you want is really just an amazing thing. So we really prioritize keeping that snow perfect and keeping our guests happy.
So Big Snow, I was shocked to know this statistic. You are North America's only indoor ski resort. That's shocking to me. I would have thought that there would have been, dotting, especially New England, dotting the whole eastern seaboard, but you were it. How does this promotion fit into your broader mission to make skiing accessible and fun for everybody? Because once you get addicted to skiing, I know people who would kill in order to go skiing. They love it. They live for it.
Well, you kind of hit it on the head. We want to make it accessible for everybody. Skiing and snowboarding is something that such a small percentage of the population actually have experienced, and a lot of it is just due to not living near a mountain, not being able to get into the sport, needing to get a lot of equipment just to begin the sport. And at Big Snow, we offer you everything from not only equipment, but jackets and pants and a helmet, so you can come in the summer in shorts and a t-shirt, and we can have you fully fitted from head to toe and on the snow, ready to go and to learn how to ride. So Big Snow is really about making skiing and snowboarding just something that's accessible for all, something that's easy, easier fun. Snowboarding and skiing is usually seen as a hard fun. And while it's still not the easiest sport, we want to make it as easy as possible to get as many people on the snow to have that experience.
And if people want more information on your website, the website is a Big Snow American Dream.
Yeah, bigsnowamericandream.com. And if you are interested in receiving your Real ID discount, you can just message us in our chat center right on our website, or you can email us at info@bigsnowad.com and we will make sure to get you that 50% off discount.
We always love having you on, Amiana. Just and you come up with such. I mean, you are the perfect person for that position because you really come up with some really, really good, clever
Oh,
marketing ideas. And this is great. I hope you guys are packed
thank
today
you.
and come back. You know we love you, so come back anytime you'd like. All right, we'd love to have you on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me again. I hope to
You
speak to you
bet.
soon.
Absolutely. I'm Yana Taransky, Big Snow's Resort Marketing Manager. Thanks for being with us and have a great day. Good luck today. Take
You
care.
too.
It is 7:31, 55 degrees. When we come back, New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein will have the latest on New Jersey's political scene with the Inside Edge. Plus, the phone lines are open. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy today. Could be a shower. Much more sunny today than yesterday, that's for sure. Highs in the mid 70s in the full Garden State forecast with our pal meteorologist Mike Favetta just a moment from now. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We're seen daily at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X, and now streamed live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/On New Jersey. We'll be right back. A very good morning, 55 degrees, 7:33, Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Partly cloudy today, could be a shower, highs mid 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has your detailed Garden State forecast. Morning to you, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. We've got a pretty decent day ahead, and even tomorrow looking very pleasant as well. So anything you want to get done outdoors today or tomorrow, weather's looking great. It'll be a pair of dry days throughout today and tomorrow with cooler weather returning Friday. Also, got to highlight the storms because there's quite a bit of wet weather on the way arriving this Friday. And even though some clouds will be around for most of the morning on Saturday, the sun returns just in time for Mom on Sunday. It'll look very pleasant across New Jersey with a very pleasant feel. Now, with a little bit of a breeze today off of the water, temperatures at the coast slightly cooler, holding in the mid and upper 60s, but inland gain about 10 degrees. Look at that, from Hamilton to Millville, even over by Glassboro, mid to upper 70s for you, and it will feel quite nice even through the end of the day. We should get up to 70 this afternoon. Well, we'll make it up to 69 as a statewide average, so right on par with where we should be for this date in May. And also sunset last time we'll see the sunset before 8 p.m. Nice, though, long daylight hours going into the evenings now. So there's that early morning shower that we had roll through northeastern New Jersey. That's why the sun is out now across the Garden State, but the ground is still a bit wet, and the cars still have some some raindrops on them. Throughout the afternoon, though, it's nice and dry. And with that, we have lower rain chances today, a little bit higher tomorrow. This is specifically by the afternoon is when we see that rain return after 4 or 5 p.m. And then for Friday, it's going to be a wet day in the morning, throughout the noon, and even into the evening hours. But all of that wet weather clears out for Saturday. Got beautifully dry conditions for Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday of next week, start to see those rain chances increase yet again. Low numbers in the air quality, that means good air quality across New Jersey. And with it, we'll keep those dry breezes blowing right in throughout this afternoon. So our Wednesday stays clear, the front pushes through, starts to stall out, and that's what gives us our wet weather beginning later Thursday night into Friday. You see all the rain return throughout the day on Friday as the storm is sitting right on top of us before it pulls away and brings back some nice dry weather for the weekend, Sunday included. And Sunday looks really pretty with all of that clear sky. The 7-day forecast has loads of sun for today. Again, those showers predominantly tomorrow afternoon here in New Jersey. I think Friday is the wet day all throughout the afternoon, with any breaks of sun just helping to bring back another threat of a shower or storm that immediately follows. Saturday and Sunday, look at that warm up into the mid and upper 70s. Monday and Tuesday sees the warming trend continue, and we may get to 80 degrees as soon as next week away from the shore. If you're headed down toward the beaches, you've got great weather today and tomorrow. There's a rainy day for Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday bring back the cooler weather, but lots of sun that lasts through next week. Temperatures running about 5 to 10 degrees cooler at the coast. Overnights, a little bit chilly as well, down in the 50s, but great weather with a drying trend that starts on Saturday and takes us clear through the first part of next week. So very pleasant weather to enjoy before we kind of get into the thick of the haze and humidity that we all know and love here with those New Jersey summers.
Welcome to Miami. Love it. Right from winter and then a wet spring into Miami. Incredible. Thank you very much, Mike. 7:36, 55 degrees. Take a look right now at bumper to bumper, please. This is the eastern spur of the New Jersey Turnpike, mile marker 112.3, interchange 16E. So that is what will take you to Route 3/495 and the approach to the Lincoln Tunnel. Ain't moving. Look at that mess. And that tells you that you got about a 35-minute crossing time into Manhattan going that way, coming off the turnpike to Route 3/495, because it's Route 3 for like a half a mile, and then it becomes the helix, the 495 helix, through the Lincoln Tunnel into Manhattan. So it's about a 35-minute delay. And that's probably because of the next shot we're going to show you in just a second. That next shot, you can come back on camera, Pam, as you switch. That next shot is going to be the 8095 approach to the GWB. Ta-da, 3, 2, 1. Take a look at this. The 8095 approach. So on the right side, it's nicely done, Pam. You're pretty darn good at this. The right side there is the upper level. The left side is the lower level. You notice how the camera is more focused on the upper level. That's because the upper level is moving at 1 mile an hour. The lower level is not moving at all. So something's going on with the lower level. I don't know. And it's been that way the last 3 times we went to this shot. They're basically immobile or moving extremely slowly. Upper level at least has a little bit of motion, but we're told that's about a 45-minute crossing time on the GWB into Manhattan right now. It's really messy out there. We have a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound south of exit 149. That's in Bloomfield by Route 506. All lanes are open, but it's causing some rubbernecking. Crash on the Turnpike Outer Roadway southbound north of interchange 13A, Newark Airport exit by 1 and 9 and Elizabeth. All lanes are blocked. We have a crash on the Turnpike Hudson County extension westbound exiting at interchange 14, which is I-78 in Newark, with 2 toll lanes blocked. And we have the ongoing road work at Route 80 east and westbound exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton. This has been going on, as you know, since December, is actually when the first sinkhole began, and then in January again, the second one. So here's where everybody's getting detoured off. And this is, again, ongoing roadwork mess until they reopen one lane. They're going to be reopening the lane to westbound side, I should say, 1 to 2 lanes westbound, going to be reopening in about a week, and then eastbound will be 3 to 4 weeks before you get any kind of reopening. So just a mess. 7:39 is our time. We have 55 degrees, and it is now time for politics from Trenton. Explained like nobody else can do it. Here's New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with the Inside Edge.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Inside Edge. Today is Wednesday, May 7th, and I had something in mind to talk about this morning involving the 2025 primary. But the more I thought about it, I realized I wasn't ready. This story's not fully baked. There's some facts that need to be checked, and I guess I could apologize for being a little unprepared today, but I'm not going to do that because in journalism, you have to be ready to bail on a story that isn't ripe. You have to have a cutting room floor. So I'm going to wing it today and talk about a story I've heard and told thousands of times. It's about Brendan Byrne and how the media initially defined him in a way that propelled him into the governorship in a landslide in 1973, just as Americans were learning about the Watergate scandal. In the 1960s, the FBI began wiretapping a North Jersey mobster named Gyp DeCarlo. He was a Genovese crime family lieutenant. And this is while Byrne was the Essex County prosecutor investigating organized crime. And DeCarlo was recorded complaining to an associate. He says, it's Byrne. We can't make him. The mob was complaining that they couldn't bribe Brendan Byrne. Another one on tape called Byrne a son of a bitch, a Boy Scout. There was another recording where a mobster asked, "What's wrong with Byrne? Doesn't he like money?" And so the newspapers, back in their era of relevance, started calling Byrne the man who couldn't be bought, and it stuck. And for a guy who had political ambitions, that's one hell of a good way to be branded. So let me quickly tell a story about Gyp DeCarlo. The FBI wiretaps of his conversations with other mobsters led to Newark Mayor Hugh Addonizio and Hudson County Democratic boss John V. Kenney going to prison. Gyp DeCarlo permanently altered Jersey's political landscape. And ironically, about 18 months into a prison term for conspiracy to commit murder, President Nixon commuted DeCarlo's sentence, reportedly because Frank Sinatra asked Spiro Agnew to help out an old friend. DeCarlo died 2 weeks before Byrne became governor. Anyway, that is all for today. Don't miss tonight's Republican gubernatorial debate on NJPBS at 7 p.m. And I will be back tomorrow.
Thank you very much, David. At 7:42, do you remember when student loans were issued by banks and you actually had to meet certain credit criteria? Then the Obama administration came along and the federal government took over issuing those loans and lowered the criteria to lend low interest money to basically anybody who asked. Then came Biden and he put repayment on hold again and again and again during COVID and beyond in order to try to win over some young voters. Didn't work. Of course, he later illegally forgave millions of dollars of loans, a move that the Supreme Court, actually billions, a move that the Supreme Court said he could not legally do not once but twice. Well, now the very people who were urged by Obama and Biden to take out massive loans to get advanced degrees in things like genderqueer studies and Esperanto poetry are finding themselves unable to repay those loans. Yes, many are waking up to the reality that a master's degree in Fiji lesbian 17th century poetry will not get you a job after graduation. Oh yeah, you could teach it at some weird college that teaches Fiji genderqueer studies, but that's about it. The ultimate money-making scam from so-called institutions of higher learning. About 4 million, or roughly 1 in 5 federal student loan borrowers with a payment due are seriously delinquent. That according to credit reporting agency TransUnion. Many of those borrowers have been given 30 days notice to start repaying their loans or at least set up a repayment plan, or their credit score is going to be impacted and their wages will be garnished. The DOE vowed to restart collecting federal loans in default as of this week, following a long pause that began during COVID. Many thought that would never end. Surprise, pay your debts or don't go to college if you don't need to or don't know what you need a degree for. If somebody asks you, what do you want to go to college for? And your answer is, I don't really know, I'll figure it out, then you shouldn't be wasting your money going to college. Go to a trade school. It is 7:44. An anti-Semitic sign at a bar in Philadelphia has the bar's famous owner furious. You probably heard of Dave Portnoy. He founded Barstool Sports and goes around the country doing pizza reviews. Dave also owns a number of bars named after his online presence, Barstool. Well, Portnoy saw that somebody had posted a picture of the anti-Jewish sign in his bar, and he became apoplectic. He immediately took to the internet and said that he would make it a learning experience for the people who did the awful deed. They believe it may have been a Temple University student. Portnoy plans on sending the individual to tour the Auschwitz concentration camp in Poland to educate the person rather than ruin their life. And MSNBC's Morning Joe on Monday had to walk back a reckless lie that they made on the air the previous week about FBI Director Kash Patel. On Friday's edition of the morning talk show, Frank Figliuzzi, a former assistant director at the FBI and an ardent Trump-hating leftist Democrat, just pointing it out, shared the claim that Patel had been seen out at nightclubs partying more often than working at the office. Like he's not allowed to go to nightclubs at night? I think you could do that. He went on to say that daily briefings had to be changed to maybe twice weekly because the alleged party boy couldn't get up on time to attend them every day. Turns out it was all false. Patel is there every single morning. All of his staff says so. Still shocked when President Trump calls these people fake news? And finally, Rite Aid Pharmacy has begun Chapter 11 bankruptcy proceedings. The company operates over 1,200 stores across 15 states. They're now in the process of selling and closing locations. Meanwhile, Rite Aid says customers will be able to access pharmacy services and that they are working to transfer customer prescriptions to other pharmacies. And all the hype about Skype. Skype! The 22-year-old video meeting service is no more. As of Monday, Skype took its final resting place in the graveyard of early 2000s services that we loved and left behind. The company that brought us a miracle has been largely pushed aside and cannibalized by a slate of competitors. People don't really much care about which video platform they're using, so whatever provides the simplest way to connect and probably costs the least is what we click to call. With video calling built into our phones, Slack, WhatsApp, and work email, the miracle has turned into the mundane. Skype, nice knowing you. Rest in Skype peace. 7:46 right now, 55 degrees. When we come back, I promise to clear my throat. And with all the problems at Newark Liberty International Airport, now you can make your getaway as stress-free as possible. Our Eric, the travel guy Hastings, has a bunch of ideas for us. It'll be partly cloudy today, could be a shower, highs in the mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with your full Garden State forecast, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. (7:47). Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, and we're taking your calls at 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy today, maybe a shower. Highs in the mid-70s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with your Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Can I have a question? Were you a big fan of
Yes.
Skype? Because I was a user right up until the day it died. I mean, I was actually
use
paying
it
to forward my number because you could pay to forward
Yeah.
your number to a virtual number, and that's how I would get calls internationally. But now that's it.
You know, a lot of
It's in the
it, because
graveyard.
this is my home studio. I'm so sorry about my throat. Forgive me. A lot of the TV services that I provide for this and other networks, I did via Skype. That's what we
Yeah.
used to use until they got
Mhm.
better technology. Now we use something called vMix Call here, and there are other technologies, about a dozen technologies that when people at home, when you see somebody that they cut to on Fox News and MSNBC and CNN, 90% of the time, those people are not in a studio. They're at home with this is a TV monitor, or they have a green screen behind them, and that's how they do their broadcast. And thankfully, because I have COVID, you wouldn't want me in a studio next to you right now anyway. But yeah, so we used to use Skype to transmit the signal back then.
And here we are now with all these new technologies that I don't know about you, but I'm cursing my phone every time I can't log in. Wait, I'm trying to get into the call. It
It
just
was
used to be
good at
so
the
easy
time,
with the
but
one
like all
button.
things, I mean,
Yeah.
it goes by the way of the Studebaker.
It just gets more complicated. And then you feel old, you feel old because you can't use it.
Hmm.
And you feel like you need an intern to tell you how to log in. Well, you don't need much more than sunglasses today. It's going to be an easy day weather-wise. Clear sky to start off our morning and clear sky to finish. A few clouds passing by through the middle of the afternoon there toward Hackensack and Jersey City, but still with highs that will climb even into the low 70s in northern New Jersey. A really pretty day with lower humidity, a nice dry feel, a little uptick in the pollen counts though. With a little bit of wet weather that we get, well, actually a lot of wet weather that came through New Jersey this week, we'll see this drought monitor update tomorrow. Updates once a week every morning on Thursday. However, the rainfall over the last few days has improved our rainfall deficit. So now we're almost up to normal with the rainfall deficit approaching only 1 inch in spots here in northern New Jersey and even improving at the coast where you saw a lot of rain over the weekend. Beyond that, going into the next few weeks through the middle and maybe toward the end of May, still above average temperatures, and that's for most of the East Coast, including back over toward the central part of the U.S. And then average chances of seeing some wet weather. So through the middle of May, there's going to be an equal chance of dry and wet weather, quite average of what you'd expect for this time of year. If regarding weather today, we're nice and dry. Best chance of shower comes through tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. And then by Friday, I think we're right back to the wet weather. It'll be kind of wet all throughout the day and cooler too. Notice how we drop off by several degrees, excuse me. Saturday and Sunday brings back the dry, sunny weather, and then that clear sky lasts into Monday and Tuesday. Regarding the shore points, I think there's another wet day of forecast on Friday with that rain lasting through the afternoon. Saturday and Sunday have nice, sunny, dry weather, but you'll notice even though it's clear, the temperature's a little bit cooler at the coast with the afternoon sea breeze setting up each day. So great weather ahead starting this weekend, lasting into the first part of next week. Nice weather as well for Mother's Day, Ken.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. And it is a mess on the roadways. We should let you know at 7:51, 56 degrees. Take a look. This is the approach right there, that exit. This is off the eastern spur of the New Jersey Turnpike, and that takes you to this 15E. So that takes you to the Route 495, Route 3 mix that gets you into the Lincoln Tunnel. It has been stopped for about 45 minutes. It's an absolute mess. So your cross time through the Lincoln Tunnel is now up to about 40 minutes, courtesy that, what you're looking at right there. Doesn't get much better if you look at the 8095 approach to the GWB. Upper and lower levels are both very, very heavy. Lower level, a little heavier than the upper level, actually. So if you take a look at the 8095 approach, you'll see this just bumper to bumper traffic making your way in. On the right side there, that's your upper level approach. Left side is lower level. It's about a 45-minute approach time and cross time right now into and over the GWB into Manhattan. Just an absolute mess on our roadways right now. We have the ongoing, of course, construction problems on I-80 east and westbound at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton. We're told, pardon me, that 1 to 2 lanes will open up on the westbound side in the next week. This is the I-80 median at Berkshire Valley. This is where people are getting off. And so next week, you'll have 1 to 2 westbound lanes finally reopening on I-80, and eastbound, it'll be 3 to 4 weeks before we have the same. But in the meantime, it is just that which you see in just an absolute mess. 7:52, the massive flight delays and cancellations at Newark Airport have been making news around the world. How can we travel as smoothly as possible until EWR gets its act back together? Travel expert Eric the Travel Guy Hastings of ericthetravelguy.com, that's Eric with a K, by the way, joins us with some great ideas. Good morning, Eric. First off, what the hell is going on at Newark?
Really, you know what? It's time to check the tires on your car, Ken. It's time to, re-experience the great American road trip until
Mhm.
Newark can get it together. That's the bottom line here.
Yeah, I think you're right. Otherwise, I mean, look, there are other options. There's LaGuardia's a little further away. There's JFK a little further away. And then you could drive down. You can go to Atlantic City Airport is a nice little airport. And they don't have
Yeah.
international getaways. But if you're driving, like you want to fly to Florida, you can go to Philadelphia or Atlantic City, and you could get flights out
Right.
of there. They're very cheap. So it's a matter of
Well,
driving an hour and parking.
and I don't want to give too much inside baseball because it gets really boring and convoluted right away. But there is some good news and some bad news. And I suppose the bad news is, Ken, if you and I start a letter writing campaign and we write our senators and our congressmen and the FAA and the DOT and we say we demand better service at Newark, they'd say yes, vote for us and we'll get right on that. But here's the deal. You also have people like United Airlines saying, look, this is our hub. We're your partner. We want you guys to do great and we want to help you as much as we can, but you're going to have to fix this problem. You're going to have to solve your air traffic control problem. You're going to have to help solve the congestion problem, or we're going to take our business elsewhere. And I know that's not necessarily, I guess that's a way to look at it here right off the top, but these are publicly traded companies. The airlines are not in the business of canceling flights and delaying flights because all it does is annoy consumers, rightfully so. And I think,
Yeah.
when we come off the heels of what is perceived to be more incidents with small plane crashes. And so already the consumer confidence is starting to erode a little bit in commercial aviation. And they're starting to be like, you know what, maybe we will just take a drive and wait till that. But I assure you, this is a long time coming problem at Newark. Okay, and by the way, it's not isolated to Newark. The air traffic, as you know, Ken, the air traffic control issue is a real issue with next gen. And again, I don't want to go into detail, but I will say this: as competitive as United Airlines is, make no mistake, Delta and American are standing by, going, "What do we need to do to make sure this isn't going to happen in Miami or Dallas
Hmm.
or Los Angeles or San Francisco
Or Atlanta, Delta, sure.
or Atlanta?"
Yeah,
Right.
right. Major, the biggest, most busy airport in the whole country.
Yep.
From reading what I read here about what's going on, it seems to be a confluence of horrible things. It's like three
Yep.
things I was reading. They have one of their runways which desperately needed to be blacktopped because of the, I mean,
Mhm.
here we're in the Northeast. If we were in, I love the Pan Am mug, by the way. If we were in Miami, you wouldn't have to re-blacktop the runway as often because they don't have the cold and the hot and the cold and the hot. So our runways get potholes just like roadways. And you can only patch the potholes so many times before you have to rip it up and do it right. So they have one of the runways closed right now. They knew about this though for a while. And the problem is the unions in the Northeast, if this were redone in Miami, you'd have a runway redone in 3 weeks. In Newark, yeah, I got that on Tuesday. When I get over there, let me see, Mary, what time do you think? I think Thursday I could do it at 2 o'clock.
Hey,
That's the
the
problem.
pothole's not that big. The airplane could go around it. What are you talking about? It'd be fine.
Piece of gum over there. Nobody know the difference. This is the problem. And they're telling us that it could be the middle of the summer. That
Yeah.
is unacceptable. You're talking about an 8 to 10,000 foot runway. And it's not like it's open, it's closed. Take all the crews you got and fix the damn runway. It's just
Well,
crazy to me that it should take
and,
that long.
and something that, again, you dig into the weeds a little bit, and we talk about airlines and revenue management. I mean, you want to talk about a house of cards. I mean, airlines are very good at revenue management, right? They want to get the most they can get out of that passenger seat and in that seat, checking those bags. Well, remember, they changed their aircraft to accommodate passenger size. So they say, well, we just need to get bigger airplanes. Well, airlines don't want to get bigger airplanes and have them
Mhm.
half full. So they use regional jets, right? So, but a regional jet takes up the same amount of space on a runway as an A380 does, a giant two-decker, in terms of takeoffs and landings. There's only X number of slots they have a day based on those runways. So again, the airlines are responsible too. They have to do their part.
Yeah, well, and the runways that Newark has, and I am getting in the weeds a little bit. They have two runways that kind of run slightly northeast, slightly southwest. Those are the two major runways, and those go about 10 to 10,000, 11,000 feet. So that can accommodate the A380s, the 747s, et cetera. Then they have one that goes the other way. It's a slightly smaller one that can accommodate regional jets. That goes east-west, sort of.
Right.
And whenever they have high winds coming from the northeast, like a nor'easter, they put people on the east-west runway because otherwise they get too many lateral crosswinds. All right, so all the FAA geeks like me, now you got your little fill. But
Yeah,
part of the
you
problem
do.
is it's
But
one of It's one of the two north-south runways, one of the two major ones for the big planes. That's the one that's been out of commission for weeks. So they've been stacking up and making the landings and the takeoffs earlier and later to try to accommodate it. But you can only do so much. We're gonna make everybody fly 2:37 in the morning. You'll be good. Hey, you get there. The
You'll
other
be fine.
airports they want to fly to, they are not open. That's the problem. So you can't have everybody
That's
taking
right.
off at 2:37. And then the other
Well, I mean,
problem, that's problem one. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Eric.
no. I mean, but again, here's the other thing. We talk about this all the time, which is I'm always looking for the best deal. I'm always looking for the best deal, the best deal. I get notes all the time. Eric, how do I get a great deal on an airline? And the reality of it is, we always say, well, look, you need to establish some loyalty with an airline. If you're a Delta person, if you're an American person, if you're a JetBlue person, you're a United person. The problem with sticking with one major airline
Hmm.
is that these things do happen. And now all your United people are all mad because they don't get their status, they don't get their upgrades, they don't get the upgrades that they probably have worked for, and
Right.
probably spent a tremendous amount of money establishing loyalty. And United's like, well, there's not a whole lot we can do here. It's kind of not our fault. Um, but again, that's why I say I fly all the airlines. I check them
Mm.
all out. So again, diversifying your airline preference is always something I remind people, especially people in New York, when you can run
Yeah.
down to Philadelphia, or you can go up to Stewart, or you can go out to Long Island. You know what I mean? Like, you've got options.
Right. Thank God. I mean, thank God you're in the Northeast. People are just upset about Newark because it's the most convenient, but you have like five other potential options you can use. The
Mhm.
other issue, of course, is air traffic control, ATC, which has been a miserable problem since the 70s. 70s. We still have technology in those air traffic control centers, the ATC centers, the TRACONs. We still have technology going back to the 80s and 90s. What on
Correct.
earth? I don't get it that we could spend $1 trillion on watching tsetse fly reproduction in Fiji, but we can't spend maybe $100 million to revamp the computer. You know what? Let's go down to the Best Buy. All right, let's call Secretary of Transportation Duffy. Get your checkbook. You and I would go down to the Best Buy today and let's buy a bunch of computers. This is just ridiculous that they're
What
dealing
is
with.
it? But
They have
Ken,
386s.
talk about not an original story and or problem, Ken. We are very good at this in this country. This country is fantastic in innovation. We love to solve problems. We love to innovate. We really do. At the same time, we're just as guilty of kicking that can down the road. And you and I know, as much as anything else, it's probably going to work out just fine. We're really not going to fix it until it really breaks. Well, they've been shouting about this for decades, and
Since
now it's
Reagan.
starting to break. Yeah, that's exactly right. And you know what? The technology has gotten better, of course. However, implementing the technology is, as you know, that's where the money really comes in. And again,
Right.
I don't think the flying public, rightfully so, why would they care? I expect the plane to take off and land where it says on the ticket, you know? But you're talking about systems and backup systems and redundant systems, and it's a lot.
So if somebody already has a flight booked out of Newark in the weeks ahead, do you have any advice? Should they maybe talk to the airline about booking out of another airport?
I think we are out of time to talk about. Make sure you have a real ID. That's the number one,
Yeah.
which I'm sure you do by now. 80% of us do.
I have
But
My Florida license.
again, you arrive early. You be flexible. You remember that, it beats driving to Texas. Nobody wants to do that. So even if you're delayed, I don't want to drive to Colorado from New Jersey. So you just take it slow. It's going to cost you a little bit more money, and it's going to cost you a little bit more time, and it's going to be okay. I promise.
If you were to recommend to somebody who's booking a flight today, not that they're flying out today, but if they're going to get on a computer and plan a getaway today, would you just
Yeah.
recommend to avoid Newark Airport for the foreseeable future altogether because of this?
I would. I would. And in fact, that's the beautiful part about supply and demand in this country. This is what's great, is that you have more options than you think you have. You can drive down to Philly. You can say that vacation you want to take, go up and take a look at what's leaving out of Boston. Look at what's leaving out of DC. Look around and figure out, maybe you make a little 3-hour drive somewhere, spend the night there, do the thing wherever that is, and then get on a plane and go to the Caribbean or whatever it is you're doing. But you have options, it's time to exercise those options. I mean, look, you go
Mhm.
out to JFK, spend the night at the TWA Hotel. What a great place to
Right.
spend the night. What a fun thing. It's like, well, I'm not going to spend a night at a hotel. Look, there's only one TWA hotel in the entire world, and it's at JFK Airport. Go out there and
Yep.
spend the night, have fun.
It's a throwback to the 60s and 70s. I went to a birthday there last year, had a ball.
Yeah,
It is a totally, and you'll see mugs like that. The
you will.
Pan Am mug, you'll see stuff like that. You'll see they have flight attendant outfits for sale, by the way.
Yes.
That were
Yeah.
some of them were they're vintage. They were actually worn by flight attendants in the 70s. It's just
No,
so cool to see.
I guess in general, Ken, too, we just remember that, flying and travel and vacation is a luxury that we enjoy today. Most of us don't think twice about getting away for a few days after we accommodate it in our budget. And let's just have a good attitude about it, okay?
All
Because at
right.
the end of the day, we're still people.
Well, you might be, but I'm a robot. That's a whole other story. Eric, the travel guy Hastings of ericthetravelguy.com.
You
That's Eric with a
never
K.
let me get
My
away with
good
that. I
friend.
knew you were not going to let me get away with that.
Never. My good friend, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. 8:05 right now, 57 degrees. When we come back, we'll take calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy, maybe a shower. Highs mid-70s, full Garden State forecast in a moment. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings, seen daily at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV News on Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Now streamed live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/On New Jersey. We'll be right back. Very good morning to you. 8:06 is our time, Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy today, could be a shower, highs mid-70s. We head to meteorologist Mike Favetta for a check of the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Ken, it'll feel nice to dry out today. You can leave the umbrella at home, but make sure you bring the sunglasses because lots of sunny weather forecast through this afternoon with temperatures right now beginning in the low 60s, even some upper 50s. It's a little bit drier than this time yesterday, so the dew points are nice and low. It's the measure of moisture in the air. As the wind gusts today, will be anywhere from 10 to 15 miles per hour. It's not too breezy, but it's the wind direction that is key. That's making for a nice drier feel to the day. Even throughout the day tomorrow, with a little bit of a wind shift coming in back off of the water, we get the humidity back and mixed with some sunshine. That should help spark some late day afternoon storms before we're back to a very wet day with that sustained easterly breeze on Friday. More on that in just a bit. As far as this morning, you may notice a few raindrops on the car, yet it's clear and sunny. Well, that was a quick round of rain that moved through with those showers earlier this morning, just before daybreak. But now, from this point forward, we are dry and sunny, and it looks beautiful with temperatures climbing into the low 70s through this afternoon across most of the state. Some places, like in the northeastern corner through Hackensack and Newark, could get into the mid and upper 70s and feeling quite pleasant throughout today. Maybe some clouds arrive this evening, but I still think we stay dry. It's tomorrow morning, much more humid, much warmer, could spike into the low 80s in spots, but that will help form a few thunderstorms as soon as 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's that self-destruct sun that allows for the sun to heat up the ground, helping that convection and helping to form some thunderstorms, arrives just in time for the evening rush. Then by Friday morning, that's when the main brunt of wet weather moves across New Jersey. Some very heavy wet weather. Could see 1 to 2 inches of rain throughout the day on Friday, just aiding in a very wet finish to the work week. It's rain we certainly need as we're still in that rainfall deficit, but we'll take it as long as it clears out by the weekend. And I think it does, especially for Saturday. We start off with some clouds around, and with that, a little bit of early morning damp weather with temperatures in the 50s. Sunday will be nice and dry. Look at how we clear out beautifully by the end of the day, and we're nice and warm as well by the end of the weekend. So with today being nice and clear, tomorrow having a late day chance of afternoon showers and storms. Again, the morning is fine right through the lunch hour, and then Friday is our very wet day with the showers and storms and cooler weather. Saturday warms up beautifully and clears out just in time for Mother's Day. We'll give you that Mother's Day forecast, Ken. It's coming up in our next weather update.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. 8:09 is our time, and we have a lot of trouble on the roadways right now. Let's take a look, if we could, on the New Jersey Turnpike, mile marker 107.1 Pam, Eastern Spur Interchange 15E. This takes you to the exit for US 1 and 9 and for Newark and Jersey City. One side goes into Newark, the other side into Jersey City, and that's just an absolute bumper-to-bumper mess as you make your way that way. We also have a problem on the New Jersey Turnpike Inner Roadway northbound south of Interchange 13A by Newark Airport. That's an absolute mess with the left lane blocked. We have a crash on the GSP northbound exiting 127. That's Route 440 in Woodbridge Township. All lanes are open, but very slow through there with about a 1 mile delay. Crash on Route 21 southbound East 3rd Avenue in Newark. Right lane of the 3 lanes closed. Disabled vehicle on the Garden State northbound south of exit 159, which is I-80 in Elmwood Park. The left lane is blocked there. And a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound south of exit 130B. Pardon me, that's Route 1 in Woodbridge Township with 2 left lanes blocked. We have a crash on the Turnpike Outer Roadway southbound north of Interchange 13A by Newark Airport. And finally, we have a crash on the Turnpike as well. Let's see. That is the inside exit interchange route for exit of the interchange 12, Carteret Rawway in Carteret. All lanes are open, but there are vehicles on the right shoulder, and that's causing a little rubbernecking. I-80 east and westbound, still a mess as you try to make your way through exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton. That'll be ongoing for the next 1 to 3 weeks. 8:10 is our time. New Jersey's Motor Vehicle Commission has come up with another way for drivers to get their Real ID driver's licenses. That'll be needed for domestic air travel starting today. So-called Real ID Tuesdays, though, to make an additional 5,200 appointments available every 2 weeks. It's going to be starting on May 20th. So if you're intending on doing some flying this summer and you don't have a passport, you can sign up on one of those Tuesdays with thousands and thousands of extra appointments available. Again, it's starting May 20th, but you can go online right now and make that appointment. Don't wait until the last second if you know you might be flying in June or July. Get the appointment, get your Real ID. Of course, if you have a passport, you can use that, but you might as well get your Real ID driver's license. If you recall, one of the problems and one of the reasons why we have the problem of Real ID driver's licenses in New Jersey and many of the northeastern states. In these states, the issuance of driver's licenses to illegal migrants caused an issue because, and that's fine to allow illegal migrants to drive. That actually solved another problem because illegal migrants were getting into accidents over the years. And then when the police would get to the scene, there was no way of identifying the person. But now you see there, Governor Murphy, back in 2019, he signed into law the idea of allowing illegal migrants to get driver's licenses. The problem is now you didn't know by virtue of a driver's license if somebody was a legal resident / citizen of the United States or if they just have a driver's license. Hence the ongoing problem, now people having to convert to Real ID. New Jersey's biggest problem, when people went to sign up for a driver's license in the last 5 to 10 years, there was no indication on the application that made it clear what a Real ID was, what a standard driver's license was. And people we've spoken to said right at the top, it just said box for driver's license. So you need it, your kid is turning 17, whatever, you need a driver's license. You check that off. You saw something down, 3 or 4 options down for Real ID. No one knew what that was. It was more expensive. You needed extra IDs for it. So people ignored it. Guess what? Now we have a problem. We only have a 17% compliance rate in this state for Real ID. And you can't blame any one party or any one group. This is a lot of stupidity and a lot of kicking the can down the road in New Jersey. We have the lowest compliance of any state in the whole country for Real IDs. New Jersey Transit Engineers Union may strike as early as May 16th. That is only 9 days away. The problem, it's been years since they've seen a raise, and the head of New Jersey Transit says that they're simply asking way more than could ever be paid out of the current economy. The NJ Transit Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen has remained at odds with the railroad over the level of wage hikes. let's face facts. These people have not had an increase in pay in 6 years. They deserve it. How would you like it not having an increase in 6 years? The other problem on the flip side is the engineers, they want an average salary of 190,000 a year. And there's not even an advanced degree requirement. You don't even have to have gone to college. That doesn't mean they're not well educated. You try being an engineer. It's a very tough thing. But nonetheless, 190,000 is a lot of money. Right now, NJ Transit is offering the engineers 172,000, which is still a $25,000 pay raise per person. Union is saying no. We'll see what happens. Either way, you're going to pay a lot more money for your ticket prices, no matter what, when all is said and done. The Archdiocese of Newark's Mercy House distributed Mother's Day gifts to nearly 100 struggling moms at its Newark location. The gifts, including purses, sun hats, and jewelry, were donated by St. Michael's Parish in Cranford and a private donor, with the Felician Sisters of Lodi assembling the bags. 80 moms received gifts in Jersey City, and today over 100 more will in Elizabeth. That happens at 11 a.m. The initiative honors the sacrifices of these mothers, reflecting the late Pope Francis's call to support those in need. And speaking of Pope Francis, the countdown to the start of the papal conclave is on. They had their morning mass today, and now everybody's going into the conclave. 133 voting age cardinals will be locked in the Sistine Chapel. The word conclave, by the way, means with a key. Cum clavis in Latin. That means with a key. So they get the doors locked behind them, and they'll be locked in the Sistine Chapel. And by the way, little tidbit of unnecessary information. The cellular providers have turned off all the cell towers in Vatican City during the voting. So if somebody smuggled in a phone, they can't use it to make a call. Thought that was a cute little tidbit of information. So the first round of voting is going to be taking place within the hour. In fact, by 9 a.m., we could even get results. Likely not on a first round vote, but we could get some kind of results one way or the other by about 9 a.m. our time. They have to have at least 89 people who concur on one individual in order to have a new pope. What happens is if they get at least 89 votes for one person, they take all of the ballots and they add wet straw to them. And the combination of the wet straw with the ballots being set on fire, that causes white smoke to come out. The water in the wet straw causes the vapors to be white. Otherwise, if they just put the ballots in and set them on fire, you get black smoke, and that means they do not have a pope. Up to 4 votes could be held each day until a new Bishop of Rome is selected, and we will cut live to Vatican video if a new pope is chosen during one of our broadcasts. The Cardinals, by the way, again, are in the conclave right now, and they could start their vote any minute. It is now 57 degrees, 8:16. When we come back, more on the problems at Newark Liberty International Airport. We're going to speak with former state lawmaker who dealt with transportation issues, so he knows a lot about this. It'll be partly cloudy today, could be a shower, highs mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with your full Garden State forecast, and we'll take calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:17, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy today. Could be a shower, highs in the mid-70s. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Ken, good morning. Lots of sun around today, so a nice way to begin our day. Sun glare on the roads. Yes, you see that with the traffic cameras. However, we'll notice a nice warm-up throughout this afternoon. There'll be a touch of a sea breeze over in Long Branch, keeping your high at 69, but everywhere else likely climbs into the mid and low 70s, maybe even as warm as 76 down by Fort Dix. The further south you head in New Jersey could approach 80 degrees before the day is through with all of that lovely weather around. So with our skies today remaining clear, little bit of a light breeze. The tree pollen is back. That'll be at the moderate level, same as the molds due to all of the wet weather that was around. And of course, the grasses and weeds a little bit less. As far as the rain that's forecast over the next day or so, I wanted to show you that with the rainfall that's coming in for Friday, it could total anywhere from 1 to as much as 2 inches in just that short amount of time. So some very wet weather. The model just updating. Could go as high as 4 inches if a thunderstorm pops over this area and kind of sits and stalls out. It's certainly possible given the amount of energy that's coming by our way. This is a problem for Friday morning's commute because it'll likely lead to some ponding on the roads, maybe some flooding for the morning and again the afternoon. I think the UV index is back up to moderate. That didn't update. So back to a clear sky today with the system that was sitting just off to our west over in Ohio yesterday, now just barely budged over the Great Lakes. And now, instead of the rain that's currently Massachusetts problem, we enjoy the clear sky today. And with that nice dry weather, we'll see the temperatures warm through this afternoon. So the weather patterns have been pretty stuck over the last few days, and that's why today, after several days of rain, we start off a pair of dry days. And with that, temperatures warm very nicely through this afternoon into the 60s and 70s. Tomorrow could get as warm as 80, but that causes a problem because with the strong afternoon sun helps fire up a thunderstorm or two through the afternoon, and that will help bring back the threat of some of those heavier showers in combination with an easterly breeze helping to fuel that marine air for Friday morning's very wet weather. And of course, those storms last through the afternoon on Friday, giving us a lot of rainfall throughout the end of the work week. It all clears out for Friday night. So Friday night is dry, but still cloudy and cool. It's Saturday morning that sees a few morning clouds early on and then eventual clearing by the end of the day. So beautiful weather in time for Mother's Day as temperatures warm nicely into the 70s on Saturday, but the upper 70s by Sunday. And just some high thin clouds there to start off our day on Saturday with clearing throughout the end of the day. Monday could have some high thin clouds too, but overall it's a general trend of drier, warming weather that starts off this weekend with temperatures in the 70s and clear sky lasting into Monday. Mother's Day looking great, Ken. Can't wait to show you that 7-day forecast with a solid stretch of dry weather and warming highs into next week.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. Much appreciated. 8:20 is our time at 50 or 58 degrees we have right now. We have a lot of problems on the roadways. In fact, if we take a look right now, this is the New Jersey Turnpike. If we could, this is the eastern spur, and this is the approach to the exit, rather, that gets you off by 15E. That'll get you off by the 495/Route 3 merge. So when you get off here, you first get onto Route 3 about half a mile, and then that takes you into the 495 helix into the Lincoln Tunnel. Stopped. Absolutely dead stop. So we're looking at a 40-minute or so crossing time through the Lincoln Tunnel into Manhattan, and that's coming off the New Jersey Turnpike. We also have ongoing problems at the GWB approach, the 8095 approach right now, very, very slow. That's about a 45 to 50-minute crossing time. Take a look at the the upper level, I should say, and lower level approaches. On the right side, there must be a problem in the right lane, because when you see those big gaps, that usually indicates people are going over to the left lane for a reason. But the upper level is on the right. Lower level is not moving at all. You could see it kind of on the left part of your frame. Absolutely dead stop. We're told that's a 50-minute delay right now into Manhattan. We have a debris spill on 287 northbound south of exit 39, Route 10 in Hanover Township, with the right lane of 5 lanes closed, and a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound south of exit 159, I-80 in Elmwood Park. All lanes are open, but a lot of rubbernecking. Crash on the Turnpike inner roadway northbound south of interchange 13A by Newark Airport with the left lane blocked. And we have a crash right now on the New Jersey Turnpike. Inside exit interchange, of course, that just updated in front of me here. Inside, okay, I have to pass on because I think they just removed it. It must be no longer a crash. We also have the ongoing roadwork construction, I-80 east and westbound, and that's at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton. Right now, you're looking at the median at Berkshire Valley. We're told that the roadway will reopen 1 to 2 lanes on the westbound side in the next week, and then 1 to 2 lanes on the eastbound side in the next 2 to 3 weeks. 8:22 right now. The FAA has issued a ground delay at Newark Liberty International Airport due to staffing shortages, weather, and construction, causing flights to depart nearly 3 hours late on average. The agency cites an outdated air traffic control system, with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy vowing to overhaul it. Little too late. This follows a chaotic April 28th incident when controllers briefly lost radar and radio contact, anywhere from 30 to 90 seconds. Pretty terrifying, and they could not tell where planes were in the sky. Arrivals currently remain unaffected, but passengers are notably frustrated. Former New Jersey State Assemblyman and Transportation Committee Chair John Wisniewski joins us to weigh in on the ongoing crisis at Newark Airport, where a shortage of air traffic controllers has caused over a week of straight delays. And he'll discuss what needs to happen to ensure passenger safety and explore both immediate and long-term solutions to stabilize air travel in the region. It's good to see you, John. You and I we've had boisterous debates in the past, but I think you and I can shout from the same side this time, because I don't think I disagree with you on any of this. And I support exactly what you're going to say here. What is going on, and why have we been kicking the can down the road for years?
Well, one of the issues is the skill level needed for air traffic controllers means that there is a long lead time to get them from, being the first day on the training to actually entrusting them with handling hundreds of aircraft a day. And there hasn't been the kind of commitment to beef up that workforce. Plus, now, 40 years after Ronald Reagan created the chaos with the PATCO strike and firing all the 11,000 air traffic controllers, a lot of those people who started then are now retiring. They're phasing out of their job. And so we have low employment, high retirement, leading to a huge shortage. And then one of the other issues that's facing at least Newark is the regional control of the aircraft coming into Newark. That center has been moved down to Philadelphia. And part of the electronic blackout that you had, if you will, was because that is no longer a direct feed into those controllers. It has to be relayed from where the data comes in the Newark area all the way down to Philadelphia. Had that TRACON, that regional control center, stayed in the Newark area, they probably wouldn't have had that blackout.
John, now I know you've been closely involved in transportation policy in New Jersey for many years. When you see something like this happening, I mean, is there a solution they can come up with immediately? Could they bring in military air traffic controllers to help the situation? Or, because I know sometimes people think, oh, any air traffic controller could sit in any booth, and that's not the case. They have to learn that particular region, correct?
It's correct. I mean, look, there are probably some military controllers who could pitch in right now, but probably not enough to fill in the gap. Taking a page from what happened 40 plus years ago, they created an expedited training program for new air traffic controllers to get them on the job quickly during that air traffic controller strike. There was some initial pain. Up to 50% of flights in the country were canceled. It gradually decreased from 50, then to 70. But it took literally years and years before they got back up to 100%. Let's hope that not happens. I'm taking a flight on Friday morning out of Newark Airport. I'm hoping this gets at least somewhat modified before Friday morning.
I'm with you. I'm supposed to fly to Europe in a couple of weeks from Newark Airport. I booked the flight 6 months ago thinking, oh, I'm all good. And then, of course, this happened, and who knows what's going to happen now.
But
look,
Ken, let me just
John.
offer just one thought, is that, part of this is there has to be a recognition that there are parts of government that provide vital services that need investment. And often what happens is it's an easy political football for people to attack. So somebody of any political party starts talking about we need to hire 500, 1,000, 1,500 new air traffic controllers. It's very easy for your opponent to criticize you for wanting to create patronage and bloat. But some of this stuff is really important. It's literally life and death. Investing in the computer technology for air traffic controllers and the radio technology isn't about just spending money. It's about protecting the lives of the people who are on those aircraft and actually protecting that entire industry. And so we have to be able to, as a nation, make the distinction between there are things that government does that's really important. And let's be clear-eyed about it and invest in those areas because it benefits us all.
John, I like I said, I would stand behind you with pom-poms cheerleading you. I couldn't agree with you more. The idea that in an era that when we're the advanced country with computer technology, that they have 25 and 30-year-old computers. Why? Why shouldn't it be a constant upgrading of computer technology like every company does every 3 years or so? New computers. This is ridiculous. And we're talking about, listen, those very legislators fly on those planes too. If we could find $100,000 or $1 million for Fiji mud wrestling, why can't we find $100 million to revamp the entire computer system? There's just no excuse, and it goes to both parties. And I remember one time speaking to former Governor Cuomo in New York. We had a conversation at a table, and I asked him about the subways in New York. And I said, well, how come the equipment, the behind the scenes switches and stuff, why is it that that equipment is, we've been saying for 20 years, is outdated and needs to be improved? And he looked at me and he said, because if I replace all of that expensive equipment, yeah, it'll make the trains run a little bit better. No one will know that I did it. But if I buy just 10 new subway cars, everybody will see it. And I thought, I get it. It's the image of making it look like, because they don't read. People want to know that their taxes are going for something right now. And you're right. They don't see air traffic controllers. They don't realize that those are the people that could save your life.
Look, I think that you're right. There is plenty of blame to apportion here, and certainly there is a certain amount of blame from elected officials who deferred making some of these hard choices. But let's not forget that those elected officials are responding to their constituents because they know what those constituents respond to. And so, it's a dual problem. I mean, voters need to dig into these issues and need to understand the importance of it, and not just, take the lowest hanging fruit and bemoan, oh, more government spending. I mean, some of it's important, and voters need to make that distinction and reward elected officials who have the courage to make those decisions.
Yeah, and John, I know Governor Murphy has called on the FAA to halt. They had layoffs planned. I know because of Doge and everything else. I mean, literally layoffs at this time in this administration with this agency. Do you think that just even halting those layoffs is enough to stabilize the crisis, or do they have to bring in a lot of people right away?
Well, first, if you're in a hole, the first rule is to stop digging. And so we can't just lay off air traffic controllers because of some political purity test that this administration has decided to impose. But let's also not forget that some of this activity by Doge has made working in the federal government a very unpalatable endeavor. And so if you start chasing people away because you're sending them emails every week saying, tell me the 5 things you've done this week, you can't look at anyone but yourself and say, okay, maybe I'm making this a hostile workplace. Maybe I need to change the way we are treating our public employees. And I think that goes for the FAA as well. If you want to attract people, you can't attract them by saying this will be a miserable experience.
Exactly. Pretty obvious. Like the rules number 1 for hiring. You don't have somebody sit in front of you and say, you know what, this place sucks. Come work for us. Doesn't work that way.
Right.
United Airlines, and we just had travel expert, our friend Eric Hastings, who was on half an hour ago, and he talked about the fact that United and the other airlines have to be partners here. And if they've been pushing the limit in terms of the number of flights per day in order to jam in as much business as possible, they just announced 35 flights a day that would be eliminated to just try to lighten the load. Would you say that this is something that across the board, all the airlines have to do to make this a little better for now, short-term paying?
Well, in particular with Newark, it really falls largely on the shoulders of United because it's one of their major hubs. And, a significant percentage of all those flights in and out of Newark are United flights. But the other airlines can pitch in as well. This goes back again. I think everybody in a policy perspective ought to be looking at what happened during the air traffic controller strike, because there was a need to immediately fix an immense problem. There could be some lessons learned, not about union busting, but about how to fix the problem, right? How to hire controllers quickly, how to train them quickly, how to create a better work environment, how to pay them fairly. I think those lessons from 45 years ago can be used today.
Yeah, and you know what? You know where I stand politically, but I will be the first one to stand up right now and say, If Secretary of Transportation Duffy doesn't get his ass on the line working and getting this fixed, I think that he will help bring down the administration faster than anything else if they don't solve this problem. And I'll be the first one to call for his head on a platter. I mean that hypothetically, not in real life, for anyone who hears
Oh, you
that
have
and
to be
says,
careful.
"Oh my
Well, let me
God."
just say this,
I know.
Ken. Imagine just like let's try a different universe. Pete Buttigieg is the Secretary of Transportation.
Right.
There would be enormous congressional hearings about,
You're right.
why wasn't Secretary Buttigieg out at Newark Airport? We haven't seen Secretary Duffy at Newark Airport. We haven't heard him make any significant policy statements about how he's going to address this. He's essentially hiding at the Department of Transportation, hoping nobody asks him the tough questions. What are you doing to fix this problem?
Yeah, I think he needs to I would have a public hearing. Let people come and scream at him. I think it's better to sit there and get yelled at than to hide. You need to come forward and say, this is a problem impacting tens of thousands of people and it's only getting worse. And here's what we're doing to fix it. If you don't do that, it's done. Then bring up the next person because he ain't doing a job. And that's what he's paid to do. You have but one job and you're messing it up right now. Former New Jersey State Assemblyman and Transportation Committee Chair John Wisniewski. Oh, we just went 15 minutes and didn't fight. What the hell is that about?
I want to get a picture of you with pom-poms behind me.
You know what? You got it. Thank you for coming on, John. It was a pleasure. And I mean, nobody knows more about transportation in New Jersey than you. So we appreciate your input. Please come back because this is not going to go away anytime soon. So we love to talk to you.
Look forward to it, Ken. Thanks a lot.
All right, John. Have a great day, my friend. Be well.
You too. Take care.
It is 8. You bet. 8:34 now, 57 degrees. And when we come back, New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein will have the latest on New Jersey's political scene with the Inside Edge. Phone lines are open. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says partly cloudy, maybe a shower, highs mid-70s. The full Garden State forecast in just a moment. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings, and we're coming right back. Very good morning to you. It is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, 58 degrees now at 8:35. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Partly cloudy, could be a shower, highs mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the detailed Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Ken, good morning. Got a great day today. Sunny shining. It's going to feel fantastic. So make sure you get out and enjoy, especially with all of the clearing that occurs throughout this afternoon. It's our first of 2 dry days. I think tomorrow afternoon has a better chance of seeing a late afternoon storm, but at least the morning and midday will stay dry tomorrow. Then it turns stormy and cooler for Friday with clouds sticking around for Saturday, but the sun returns just in time for Mother's Day. South Jersey has a cooler shore with temperatures in the Atlantic reaching the upper 50s. So the shoreline locations like Atlantic City down through Cape May, 66 to 69 degrees. Further inland, you could gain about 10 degrees with that nice warm westerly breeze. Today is our last day of the year with the sunset before 7 p.m. Sorry, last day of the season with the sunset before 8 p.m. with all of the nice longer daylight hours lasting into the early summer season. We've got great weather to go along with it. A nice pleasant feel with a few high thin clouds exiting, so we stay dry and sunny today. It's also going to be dry through this afternoon, tomorrow morning, tomorrow midday, and then our chances of rain increase tomorrow late afternoon into the early evening due to those afternoon bouts of sun mixing with the higher humidity, get a better chance of rain. Friday, however, is going to be a very soggy day with some showers and storms that come through early on in the morning and again in the afternoon. But Saturday and Sunday see a dramatic clearing that will look very pleasant, as is the air quality today. Nice and pleasant and clean. With the clear sky that sticks around today, we're dry throughout tomorrow morning, and then the front sweeps through, but kind of stalls, as most of these weather systems have been doing, just kind of stalling out above New Jersey. And that gives us the increased chance of some showers and downpours for Friday morning, lasting into Friday afternoon. Once that system clears out by Saturday, we're back to sunny weather, back to clear sky for our Sunday, and a really pleasant way to start off the second half of the weekend. The 7-day forecast has warm weather taking over in through not only the weekend, but into early next week, adding several degrees throughout Monday and Tuesday. Could even get to 80 at some parts by Tuesday afternoon. Again, the shore points have a better chance of seeing that wet weather on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, nice and dry, and then early next week, slightly cooler with a little bit of a sea breeze at the shore, but still lovely weather for several days next week as we see that nice warming trend before it could be some rain by the middle of next week. So we won't get into that part of the forecast just yet. Enjoy the sunny, dry weather, Ken, until then.
Keep the smile on the face. There you go. Appreciate it, Mike. Thank you very
You
much,
bet.
sir. It is 8:39 now and 58 degrees. Take a look at here. We'll show you ugly. Every now and then we say, let's show you ugly. That's ugly. So what you're looking at here is the New Jersey Turnpike, Hudson County Extension, interchange 14. And that takes you to Newark Airport. So it's bumper to bumper right now, getting toward Newark Airport, which probably doesn't surprise a lot of people, especially with what's going on. Average of multiple hour delays for flights. And by the way, don't you hate it when they tell you your flight could be up to 2 hours delayed, but still get there on time? Because if we take off on time, you need to be there. So you get to the airport and you wait 3, 4, 5 hours, and then they tell you they canceled your flight. Oh, joy. But that is the problem now, getting off to Newark Airport. We have a crash on the Jersey Turnpike inner roadway northbound south of interchange 13A, which is, again, by Newark Airport. That's another problem. All lanes open, vehicles on the right shoulder, though. A crash on 295 northbound north of exit 23, Route 130 in West Deptford Township. One right lane is closed. And an overturned vehicle on 295 southbound at exit 57, Route 130 in Bordentown Township. The ramp lane is closed. Crash on the Garden State northbound south of exit 138 in Kenilworth, one center lane blocked. And on the New Jersey Turnpike, we have a crash on the southbound side, north of interchange 13A, Newark Airport again, by Route 1 and 9, two left lanes blocked there. So we have a lot of problems in the area. The approach of the GWB, upper and lower levels, both bumper to bumper, as you can see, especially the lower level on the left side. That's been a mess all morning. That's been going on for a while. It took about a 45 to 50-minute delay into Manhattan. Only a couple of minutes better, about a 35-minute delay at the Lincoln Tunnel and about 30 minutes at the Holland. It is 8:40 right now and time for Politics from Trenton, explained like no one else can do it. Here's New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with your Inside Edge.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Inside Edge. Today is Wednesday, May 7th, and I had something in mind to talk about this morning involving the 2025 primary. But the more I thought about it, I realized I wasn't ready. This story's not fully baked. There's some facts that need to be checked, and I guess I could apologize for being a little unprepared today, but I'm not going to do that because in journalism, you have to be ready to bail on a story that isn't right. You have to have a cutting room floor. So I'm going to wing it today and talk about a story I've heard and told thousands of times. It's about Brendan Byrne and how the media initially defined him in a way that propelled him into the governorship in a landslide in 1973, just as Americans were learning about the Watergate scandal. In the 1960s, the FBI began wiretapping a North Jersey mobster named Gyp DeCarlo. He was a Genovese crime family lieutenant. And this is while Byrne was the Essex County prosecutor investigating organized crime. And DeCarlo was recorded complaining to an associate. He says, it's Byrne. We can't make him. The mob was complaining that they couldn't bribe Brendan Byrne. Another one on tape called Byrne a son of a bitch, a Boy Scout. There was another recording where a mobster asked, "What's wrong with Byrne? Doesn't he like money?" Uh, and so the newspapers, back in their era of relevance, started calling Byrne the man who couldn't be bought, and it stuck. And for a guy who had political ambitions, that's one hell of a good way to be branded. Uh, so let me quickly tell a story about Gyp DeCarlo. Uh, the FBI wiretaps of his conversations with other mobsters led to Newark Mayor Hugh Addonizio and Hudson County Democratic boss John V. Kenney going to prison. Gyp DeCarlo permanently altered Jersey's political landscape. And ironically, about 18 months into a prison term for conspiracy to commit murder, President Nixon commuted DeCarlo's sentence, reportedly because Frank Sinatra asked Spiro Agnew to help out an old friend. DeCarlo died 2 weeks before Byrne became governor. Anyway, that is all for today. Don't miss tonight's Republican gubernatorial debate on NJPBS at 7 p.m., and I will be back tomorrow.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. 844, an anti-Semitic sign at a bar in Philadelphia has the bar's famous owner furious. You've probably heard of Dave Portnoy. He founded Barstool Sports and goes around the country doing pizza reviews. Dave also owns a number of bars named after his online presence, Barstool. Here's what he said after he found out about the sign.
Well, I've been hunting down waitresses, the table who did it, and everything you can name, because I want consequences for actions. So I'm not just sitting back like, oh, what are you going to know? Trust me, I have been on it.
We only have a certain number of beeps per day we're allowed to use, and I think we just used them all on Portnoy. He was upset, clearly, that somebody had posted a picture of an anti-Jewish sign in his bar. He became apoplectic, as you can imagine, as you saw there. He immediately took to the internet and said he would make it a learning experience for the people who did the awful deed. They believe it may have been a Temple University student. Portnoy says he will send that individual to tour the Auschwitz concentration camp to educate the person rather than ruin their life. It is now 8:45, and we will be coming back in just a moment and checking out the forecast right now. It is pretty nice, actually. Partly cloudy today. Could be a shower. Highs mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with your full Garden State forecast, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You're watching ONNJ Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:46, taking your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy today, maybe a shower, highs in the mid-70s. Here's meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning to you, Mike.
Hey, Ken, good morning to you. Got great weather ahead for this afternoon. Lovely weather to get out and enjoy. And just look at the bounties of spring across New Jersey, because all of that rainfall over the last few days has really made things quite green across the state, especially in the northern part of New Jersey. So it'll look pretty fantastic today under all that blue sky, then with a few passing clouds staying quite pleasant. Now, our drought monitor updates this time tomorrow, so be sure to check back in to see where those lines are drawn. However, a hint is that I think certain areas will be out of a severe drought yet again after all of the rainfall that happened just in the last week. We have gone back from our 1 to 2 inch rainfall deficit to only up to an inch in spots. So some better news there as we look forward to the drier weather for the next 2 weeks, especially through the middle and end of May. And that includes portions of the Midwest. And here in New Jersey, our forecast is equal chances of dry and wet weather into the end of the month. So pretty May-like, if you ask me. 7-day forecast has plenty of sunshine today, clearing by tomorrow morning again, but it's the afternoon that brings back some showers and storms. Friday is a generally wet day, even though the sunny icon here hints that there could be some breaks of midday sun. There's a lot of rain in the morning and a lot of rain in the evening. Could even be some flooding concerns throughout the day on Friday with the amount of rain that's coming. Saturday and Sunday clearing beautifully, just in time for Mother's Day, and Monday and Tuesday sees that lovely warm stretch take us into the first part of next week. As far as the shore points, slightly cooler, still a rainy day for you on Friday. Saturday and Sunday looking beautiful with temperatures in the low 70s, and those low 70s stick around even into the first part of next week. So pleasant weather to take us into the next week in May, Ken.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, my friend. 8:48 is our time. We have 57 degrees. Take a look at some of the accidents we have throughout the area, and a lot of them we do. There we go. How are you? All right. So we have a lot of accidents to report. Thank you, Mike, for that report. We have a crash now in the Jersey Turnpike, outer roadway southbound, north of interchange 13A, which is Newark Liberty International Airport, Route 1 and 9 in Elizabeth, with the left lane blocked. We have a crash on 676 northbound, exit 1, Collings Avenue in Camden. Of the 3 lanes, the right lane is blocked and the ramp lane is closed. Crash on the New Jersey Turnpike inner roadway northbound south of interchange 13A, Newark Airport, which is Route 1 and 9 in Elizabeth. All lanes open, vehicles now on the right shoulder. Crash on 295 northbound, north of exit 23, Route 130 in West Deptford Township. 1 right lane of the 3 lanes closed. Overturned vehicle, 295 southbound, exit 57, Route 130 in Bordentown. Ramp lane is closed. And we have a crash on the Garden State northbound south of exit 138, Route 509 in Kenilworth. We have 1 lane closed. The center lane of all things is blocked. That's always a problem when the center lane is blocked because that causes problems to either side of that lane. And we have a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound south of exit 159, I-80 in Elmwood Park. All lanes are open. But as you can imagine, we have residual delays going through that area as we have people rubbernecking, making their way through. It is 8:50 right now. A jury in the sex trafficking trial of Sean P. Diddy Combs is expected to be in place sometime today. Jury selection began on Monday in Manhattan as the one-time mogul faces federal sex crime charges in a case expected to last for months. A number of potential jurors were brought into a courtroom one by one and questioned by the judge, prosecution, and defense to determine whether they are qualified to serve on Combs' jury. The 55-year-old Combs experienced a sharp fall from grace after facing a number of lawsuits and criminal charges accusing him of rape and sexual assault. Diddy was offered a plea deal last week but turned it down, and if convicted, he could face the rest of his life behind bars. Our time right now is 8:51. Excuse me. And Dr. William Fortune, who is a best-selling author and professor of history, books like 1 Second After, 1 Year After, The Final Day, 48 Hours, and 5 Years After, very cool series, joins us now to discuss growing concerns over power grid security in light of the recent blackouts that we just had the other day in Spain and Portugal. And he'll explain what could happen if a similar outage hits New Jersey. They'll also explore the threats of EMP attacks, infrastructure vulnerabilities, and the potential for a national Golden Dome defense system. Dr. Fortune, good morning. Thanks for being on with us today. Dr. Fortune, can you hear me?
Good morning. How are you doing today? Yes, can you
Yes,
hear me?
good. I can hear you now, sir. Thank you very much. So briefly explain for us, if you will, what caused the recent blackouts in Spain and Portugal, and how vulnerable are we in New Jersey for something similar?
I haven't studied it that much, but this type of power outage, I read something, it had something to do with linking up solar, excuse me, I got a cold here this morning.
Me too.
Solar panels, something like that. But
Yes.
that's the type of thing we have to be afraid of, a power outage that affected an entire nation, Spain, that happened to us, or even worse, like we saw in Texas about 5 years ago, where Texas
Right.
came within a hair's breadth of losing its entire electrical grid.
So in Spain and Portugal, and they have their grids basically married together. They were
Right.
trying to do the right thing, right? They were trying to shift over to a combination of wind power and solar. The problem is,
Mhm.
unlike a power plant, I was reading like a coal plant or an oil plant that produces a lot more megawatts per, per acre of footprint, that solar plants,
Mhm.
especially at night, can't produce electricity, so they rely on stored power in batteries. Same thing with wind. If there's no wind blowing and there's a maximum power drawn, where's the power going to come from? So apparently, the maximum power was drawn, and there was nothing to do but turn everything off. It just tripped that switch. I think we're a little better off here because we have a sort of more diversity in our power system. But think about that. What would the immediate and long-term impacts be if we had a regional power grid in the U.S.? Would it cause a trigger effect all over the rest of the country?
Well, a big one, of course, was New York in 2012 with the
Right.
flood and then the power out from that. Uh, you can have, of course, the worst was the one back, I believe, in the 70s, where one single circuit within the system went bad. It tripped off, but that started a cascading effect because it drew too much on the next line. That trips off, and suddenly you got a whole system going down. The thing that we have to be concerned about is like a military attack on our infrastructure, or even a large solar storm could do the same thing.
Yeah. You actually know about, and you've written extensively about, you've written like 5 books, right, about EMP strikes. Tell us what an EMP
Hmm.
is and how it could affect our infrastructure.
Okay, EMP, shorthand for electromagnetic pulse weapon. It is created by detonating a small, about 4 times the size of Hiroshima bomb, 200 miles above, out in space, above the United States. That sets up something called a Compton effect. We could get complex here. Just trust me, it involves gamma rays splitting electrons off, cascades down to the Earth's surface, feeds into our wiring system, which become antennas, and within seconds after it starts, the power grid starts to shut down. High tension lines, power stations. It could be a catastrophic event.
Are we prepared at all for something like that? Do we have a defense
No.
system set up to prevent us? No, huh? It's as simple as that. And I mean, or is it just a matter of don't do it to us because we could do it to you? Is that really what we're relying on right now?
Yeah, well, this was first realized in 1962, something called Starfish Prime. We detonated a nuclear weapon out in space, and it blew out part of the Hawaiian grid 500 miles away. Russians did it a couple of months later, Russian test 184, same result. But see, with Russia, China, you do us, we do you. It's called mutual assured destruction. The ones I am most fearful of are, of course, North Korea and especially Iran. Iran obtaining the nuclear weapons with its ICBM capability. They actually put out propaganda film clips of them knocking out our system. I take that very seriously.
Yeah. And we got about 45 seconds left. Quickly, what is the Golden Dome concept and how could a system like that work to protect us?
It would be a strategic defense system like Reagan first proposed in the 80s, but the technology wasn't there then. That is, you shoot the missile down before it gets to us out in space. Golden Dome, either do it with anti-missiles or energy weapons such as high-intensity laser, shorts the warhead out. We need
I'm
that
just curious.
system to
Yeah.
protect. It's an insurance policy. Yeah,
Dr. Fortune, what
it's an
about
insurance.
people who have generators and stuff? If you have a household generator, would that be a way to stay online, or would these circuits be blown on that too?
If you're hot wired in and we were hit by a strong EMP, it could blow off the generator as well. But secondly, you need fuel.
Right.
Even if you have a 250 gallon tank behind your house, sooner or later you're going to run out of fuel, and then what?
Right. Unless you have natural gas, you're hooked up to the
Yeah,
gas lines. But I'm sure if they went to the point of figuring out how to blow out our system, they would blow that out too. We got to have you back
yes,
on
it
when
will.
we have more time. Dr. William Fortune,
Sure.
best-selling author, professor of history. I could talk to you for an hour. Thank you for joining us this morning. And you got 5 books online. I mentioned them at the top of the broadcast. Everyone should go look them up and get them. It's fascinating to talk to you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
You bet. 8:57 now. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says partly cloudy, could be a shower, highs mid-70s. That is on New Jersey Mornings for your Wednesday, May 7th. I'm Ken Rosato. Remember, we're streamed on ONNJ.com every single day. Tell your friends about us. If you didn't like what you saw, don't tell anyone. Keep it our little secret. Until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., have a wonderful day. Thanks again for watching.